Yo, what is up, everybody? We are Thunder Gaming today with Phosphocell? Yeah, let's go with that. Phosphocell. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced. It's a little bit of a tongue twister sometimes, but it's a pretty cool card, and I think it's uniquely positioned right now in Elestrals with the limits to Earthquake and Laurels recently, and the kind of more reliance on backrow for removal to do really well in this format because it had basically Thunderstorms on a stick, and you can run Thunderstorm in this deck. So we are running a kind of OTK style, think like Blazers deck, but with the fact that we have also early Thunder consistency cards where we have a better kind of early game than Blazers OTK where we can run a normal early game. And then we have this explosive finisher that's not as explosive as Blazers OTK, but it's still a pretty explosive deck overall, using Phosphocell to blow up tons of back row, doing some combo shenanigans, which we'll talk about when we go into the deck build, and basically making use of lots of really unique, interesting interactions within the deck. So let's jump into this interesting combo deck OTK-ish Thunder build that I have going for me. So it's a Phosphocell deck, as I mentioned. And the unique thing about this deck is we are trying to get Thunder Spirits in our Underworld as soon as possible so that we can retrieve our Thunder Spirits from Underworld onto board using things like Arcalith and Phosphocell. I'm actually going to start with Arcalith since it's the easier card to go over here. It's a 6/4 for 2 Thunder, and it can be normal cast with 2 Thunder if an opponent has at least 2 Elestrals in attack position. When you cast this Arcalith, you can enchant up to 3 Thunder to it from your Underworld to your field. Again, we are trying to get Thunder Spirits into our Underworld to get onto board, and Arcalith basically turns into a potential 4 to 5 damage on normal cast. It's pretty dangerous when you get it onto board, where you can just swing things, re-trigger enchant your Zeus, enchant your Astrabbit, maybe enchant his Boombat, and just take over the game with that card. It's a pretty powerful finisher when we need to just punch for damage towards the end of the game. And Phosphocell also allows us to get 2 Thunder Spirits from our Underworld onto it when we cast it because it will receive a Solar. So Phosphocell is a 7/4 for 2 Thunder, 1 Solar, and it gets 1 attack for each Solar on it. You can disenchant 2 Thunder from it in order to destroy a rune, where basically it's a Thunderstorm on a stick, and when it receives 1 or more Solar, you can enchant 2 Thunder to it from your Underworld to it. So it will receive the Solar on cast, get your 2 Thunder onto it, and then you can use that for either Thunderstorming or potentially just get more damage with Phosphocell. Phosphocell is also uniquely positioned, I think, because it is the only 3-drop I can think of off the top of my head that you can consistently get to its 3rd stage off its 1st stage. As long as you trigger the 1st stage, Larvacell, you get to Phosphocell. So let's talk about the line real quick. Larvacell is a 3/1 for 1 Thunder. You can access Thunder or Solar, and when this Larvacell receives 1 or more Solar, you can special send it to Anacell from your hand or deck. So the main thing with Larvacell is you're generally going to nexus Solar to it to get it to ascend, but what I found more consistent is just ascending over an Astrabbit or an Elechick with Solar to trigger its receive effect. It's not received by a nexus, so it just needs to get that Solar Spirit, or even playing it and then re-enchanting it the next turn if it stays on board is a great way to just trigger it, ascend into Anacell. Let's talk about Anacell. So Anacell is probably the worst card in the deck, but it's very important for what we're doing. The 4/4 for 1 Thunder, 1 Solar, you can expend 2 Solar in order to special send this Anacell from Phosphocell to your hand or deck. So it basically, immediately when Anacell hits play, as long as Gorgon's Gaze isn't cast, you just get to Phosphocell. So once Larvacell triggers to get to Anacell, Anacell triggers gets to Phosphocell. Super simple. It also has the second ability that when you cast a rune with Solar, you can chant Thunder from your Underworld to this Anacell. That doesn't really ever come up. There's a couple niche cases it might. We'll talk about that in the wrap-up, actually, though. And then when we go expend 2 Solar, we get to our Phosphocell. Now, when we get to Phosphocell, it's going to have a lot more spirits than you might think at first. So let's count it up real quick. So Larvacell has 1 spirit. It receives Solar for 2 spirits. Ascends to Anacell, now has 3 spirits. Anacell ascends into Phosphocell, there's 4 spirits. Trigger the receive effect to get 2 Thunder. It now has 6 spirits on it. When you get to it, disenchant 2, you Thunderstorm. Now it has 4. It still represents 4 damage and a pop. That's pretty powerful. Next turn, you can always re-enchant it with Solar to get back up to 7. Disenchant 2, pop another back row, so on and so forth. That's really powerful. And what makes that interesting and unique right now is since there's not a ton of invoke removal in the format that just outs Phosphocell, we can sit on a Phosphocell in attack position a little bit safer than we have been able to in the past. However, with the rest of the deck build, we should be able to remove all their back row interaction to just start swinging with Phosphocell the moment it drops. So let's go over the rest of the deck real quick. We're actually going to start with the rune package because that's pretty important. We need to get Thunder Spirits into our Underworld for Arcalith and Phosphocell as early as possible while still furthering our game plan. So we're running Thunderstorm because we need to pop the back row in order to make sure that we're connecting with Phosphocell consistently after doing our full combo. The Thunderstorm is a great way to get exactly the 2 Thunder Spirits we need into the Underworld. And if we Thunderstorm do combo, get Phos out, we get to Thunderstorm off Phos again. Our opponent is unlikely to have multiple backrow, like more than 2 backrow consistently, so being able to pop 2 backrow before attacking should be pretty relevant. Even if Phos gets PTA'd and we pop their 3rd backrow or something, that's still pretty powerful. So Southern Storm I find really good in this deck because it, again, furthers our we need Thunder Spirits into the Underworld and also helps us connect with our big attack bodies that we're trying to win the game with. We're going to skip over a few runes and go into Nectar of the Gods. We're playing a combo deck that wants Thunder Spirits again in the Underworld. Nectar of the Gods is a perfect way to both achieve more combo cards and get Thunder Spirits into the Underworld, so we're running 3 Nectar of the Gods. We're running 3 Zeus, along with our 2 Elechick to help kind of get A, Nexus banks for Larvacell, and B, just help the normal Thunder strategy of attacking over things. So Elechick is just a really good card, and Zeus is a really good card that has some synergy with our deck, but because it's just really good in Thunder and we have Thunder main element and Elechick, we just play Zeus, right? We have 3 Ambrosia, nothing surprising there. 2 Circles of Skies, we are playing a little bit of a receiving Nexus package, so having the Circle of Skies to get an extra solar onto Phos or re-trigger Rabbit early game, stuff like that, it's just really powerful, especially if you go Rabbit, Zeus, Circle to Rabbit, and Rabbit's not going to get Laurels anymore. Draw an extra card, see another card. Circle of Sky I think is uniquely pretty powerful. It also, again, we'll get 1 Thunder Spirit into our Underworld to kind of further getting to our Phos, just build up our Arcalith build up. Rise from the Ashes is where this gets really interesting. Now, we've gone over all the main things that Rise from the Ashes makes interesting in this deck. You haven't caught on yet. We have a lot of cards that recover spirits to board. We can cast Rise from the Ashes with spirits on board. So if we play Arcalith, we can use Rise from the Ashes. Let's say Arcalith is coming out late game, get Arcalith into play, recover 3 Thunder to it, use the 3 Thunder to get Rise from the Ashes to get an Anacell or a Larvacell back, and then just go into Phos there. So now all of a sudden we have Arcalith, Phos in play, pop another back row, swing for a bunch of damage. If we get 1 Anacell, we play Anacell, trigger it, get to Phos, Rise from the Ashes, Anacell, do it again, get 2 Phos in play, both with a ton of spirits on them to do the disenchant shenanigans for Thunderstorms to pop more back row. Now we have 2 8 attackers on board. Just play Arcalith and then maybe Rise from the Ashes, another Arcalith, or Rise from the Ashes, a Boombat, play Arcalith and chant spirits to Boombat, re-trigger Boombat. Like, there's a ton of things that Rise from the Ashes does in this deck that you could probably push Rise from the Ashes to 3 with this deck and still feel good about it. And we're a combo deck, so Rise from the Ashes just helps the combo deck. Maybe we Rise from the Ashes an Astrabbit, get the search, play Larvacell over Astrab with the Solar Spear to get to Phos, all that shenanigans as well. Rise from the Ashes is really good in this deck. 3 Gorgon's Gaze, because that's a staple. You kind of need 3 Gorgon's Gaze in almost every single deck. 2 Helios Chariot Rides. This does the same thing as Thunderstorm, as it gets Thunder Spirits to Underworld and stops them from using runes. It also prevents them from casting those runes, giving our Phos like lockdown ability to just blow up all the back row that's locked down from Helios and just feel good about that, as well as help again connect with Arcalith, with Phos, a couple PTAs, because PTA is good to remove things on board. We're an aggro deck, we want things off board so we can punch face directly for lots of damage. PTA kind of helps with that a little bit. And the rest of the Elestral package, let's talk about briefly. We have 1 Lavalith. Lavalith is just a generally good card. It also helps further our back row destruction. Just blow up all the back row, swing with bigger bodies to aggro the game out. So we run the 1 Lavalith because it's all we can run. 3 Astrabbit, because Astrabbit is just a crazy good consistency card in Thunder. Again, it's something we can ascend our Larvacell over with Solar to get to Anacell. Even ascending an Arcalith over this Rabbit, etc. after we punch a bunch of Thunder Spirits into Underworld. Circle the Sky into Rabbit to get all the extra draws. It's really powerful. Boomats are kind of premier invoke speed removal, and with all the synergies we have in the deck for the Nexus shenanigans, stuff like that, if we stick a Boombat and get more Thunder Spirits onto it pretty easily, we can just keep Boombatting turn over turn if we need to, so Boombat is actually pretty powerful in this deck. So that's the main deck. The spirits we have to talk about briefly. 6 is the minimum solar spirits to run in this deck. Do not cut this lower than 6. I would probably put this to 7 or 8, but I was running a little bit risky, you could say. The reason 6 is the minimum for solar is because when you go Anacell, Anacell has a solar spirit on it, and you need to just expend 2 solar spirits. So that's now 3 solar spirits. If you Rise from the Ashes Anacell to get a second Phos out in the same turn, you then need to cast it with a solar and then expend 2, so that's 6 total. Now 2 of those solars end up on board on your Phos, which is great, but you do need at least 6 solar, and you can't touch your solar until you are confident you're not going to need all 6, which won't happen until very late in the game, or if you have an Ambrosia in hand. So you do need at least 6 solar. We run 12 Thunder because we're a Thunder based deck. We will go through a lot of Thunder because we're putting a lot of it in Underworld, and we still need a lot of it in deck to take advantage of all of the Thunder in the Underworld and to fire for the Lavalith. That's the deck. Let's take a look at a couple games and I'll talk to you guys in the wrap up.
Subscribe to Words.
Subscribe to Words.
Subscribe to Words, bro.
It's literally just us telling people to subscribe to Words. No!
Alright, so we're playing against Earth next place. So start with the Clovey to draw a card. He's going to follow up with the Foley Force, getting the Clovey up to 5 defense. Pretty beefy. Play a Demeter on 3 Spirits. With that Demeter on 3 Spirits, he's going to play Circle the Sky to Nexus 1 to Clovey. Draw a card off Clovey, draw a card off Circle the Sky. It looks like he was looking for backrow because he doesn't set anything after, and I follow up with a Rabbit. I set 1 after the Rabbit, and Nog for another draw 2 cards. And then I Thunderstorm his Demeter off the board here. It's basically a burn spell. Get Demeter off the board so we can't do his next shenanigans. Set 1 more. He's going to start his turn with the Rummagem. I'm going to PTA that Rummagem. I just want to keep his board clear here because he's playing a Nexus deck. So the more I can keep off his board, the better. He's going to use the Rummagem to find the Panzer. Go to end step. I destroy the Rummagem. I follow up with a Lavalith to destroy his Foley Forest here and run over the Clovey. I wasn't expecting to get over Clovey. I figured it must be an Altar or something. So all good. He's going to Earthquake my Lavalith to get rid of it on his turn. Play an Ambrosia that was face down. It was a bluff. And he's going to follow up with his Rabbit of his own to search for some cards. And the upsetting one, I'm going to follow up now with my Larvacell and a Zeus. I'm going to use Larvacell to Nexus from Zeus to Rabbit to get some more digging. Not the best case for Larvacell, but in a board state like this, Larvacell is fine to just use as a Nexus ability to get rabbits. And I'm going to use the Zeus to lower the Rabbit and get over it with the Larvacell. His back row is not going to do anything here, and he's going to go for Jolton to find another Foley. I'm going to Gorgons the Jolton to keep him off his back row and basically Nexus banks. I'm going to start my turn off by enchanting for enchanting my Larvacell for an Anacell. Cast an Ambrosia with a Solar to give Anacell 1 more Thunder Spirit off my Underworld, recover some, and then go for Anacell effect to get to Sovacell. He's going to PTA my Sovacell here. That's fine, because I'm still going to be able to punch for a ton here, regardless of that PTA to get over the Jolton. I'm going to use Rise from the Ashes to get my Anacell back, using some spirits off my Phos that's about to die, get my Anacell into play, and use the Anacell, use the Ambrosia, again, to get all the spirits I need back to get 2 solar and a thunder, so that way I can use Anacell's ability again. I have 1 spirit left for the Ascension, get the 1 spirit on it from the Underworld, go back to Sovacell again, get 2 more spirits onto it from the Underworld again. I now have, I think, 11 spirits on board with an attack position Jolton that's just about to get run over, and my opponent has 10 spirits left. I do exactly lethal and end the game that way. That's a pretty explosive finish for a very short game. Moving on to game 2. So I start off this, I'm going first with a Rabbit. Go Rabbit Search, fairly straightforward. My opponent's going to set 2 and then play an Eddy. I'm going to PTA the Eddy right away while he goes to put my Rabbit in attack position, and they trade. I go, cool, I'm going to rise from my Rabbit. Not the best rise from target, but still a good rise from target because I'm going to get a search off this Rabbit coming into play before I go and ascend it. So you'll see in a second. I'll just do my searching, and then I believe I go and ascend it. He PTAs my Rabbit, also relevant. So after I see the PTA, I'm going to cool Thunderstorm the Apollo and go ascend my Rabbit into Arcolith, which effectively basically regenerates all the spirits I just spent for rise from and lets me punch for 5 damage here. That's a lot right off the bat. I'm going to start off the turn with the Helios off the Arcolith to keep my Arcolith in play. He's just going to be able to basically play Calf Mill and do nothing else. And then I'll go into my Larvacell here with 1 Thunder. I'm going to Nexus 1 Thunder from my Arcolith to my Larvacell so I can get a little bit of damage in over the Calf Mill. So Arcolith takes a Calf Mill, Larvacell punches for 2. He's going to start his turn with an Ambrosia, get a little healing, and play Plucky to search for an Apollo. Doesn't really do much for him, it's pretty slow. I'm going to start my turn here by just hard enchanting my Larvacell with the Solar to go into Anacell, and then obviously go Anacell into Phosphacell in a second. And now I have a ton of damage on board yet again this game. Another big aggressive start. Get all my spirits from the receive trigger on my Phosphacell. I believe my Phosphacell here has 7, my Arcolith has 2, Arcolith over, and then punch for 7. My opponent's down to 7 spirits. 1 more connection with his Phosphacell and it's game over. I have no back row though. He's got 1 back row. He's going to play a Plucky here, find another Apollo. And then he's going to play an Apollo here. He's going to look at the top 3 cards of his deck, which is going to let me basically know what I'm up against. So he finds an Altar, he finds a Divine Blessing, and a Calf-Mel. You can grab Calf-Mel. I'm going to disenchant my Phos right away. He's going to just show it's a Gorgons. We know what his next 2 draws is. He's just going to call the game here because he knows next 2 draws will not get him anywhere. And that's game 2. Again, another really fast, aggressive, short finish for Phos. It's just a really aggressive finisher. And now we're going to go into our 3rd game. And my opponent's going to go first here. He's going to start with a Rabbit. He's going to chant Rabbit, obviously. Get his cards in set 2. I go to my turn and play Elechick, search for Zeus. It's my only Divine Rune, so obviously that's what I'm going for. With the Zeus, I go into hand, 2 face down, play Zeus on 2, disenchant 1 to hit Rabbit with it, and attempt to swing over the Rabbit with my Elechick, which I believe it gets met with the shield, so I'll check back to my hand, not the end of the world. I can go find another Zeus next turn. He's got a Rabbit in play, not the end of the world. His other face down was a Nectar of the God, so he's just bluffing me. He's going to draw 2 cards here and then go for a re-enchant on Rabbit, so he just went up 3 cards this turn. It's pretty heavy. He's going to set 3 and pass. I'm going to go to my turn here. I'm going to set 1. I'm going to go for another Elechick to find another Zeus, which I believe he goes PTA off the Rabbit, so my Elechick's now at 2 attack. Even with Zeus, I can't go Rabbit, but I'm going to disenchant Zeus, hit Rabbit, play another Zeus on 2, disenchant Zeus, hit Rabbit again, and swing over the Rabbit with Elechick, which gets met by a Gorgon's Gaze. That's a fine trade. I mean, I traded Zeus basically for Gorgon's Gaze, but he does get to keep the Rabbit in play. He's going to Ambrosia after all that, so all the spirits I just kind of beat out of him with the extra counter runes just kind of got mitigated back. He's going to re-enchant Rabbit again and then pass turn by setting 4. Start of my turn, I'm going to play Helios here to set up for a nice big Phosphor Cell play. Play my Rise from the Ashes to get Elechick. It's all I got in my Underworld, but I need something to ascend over. So I get my Elechick into play, and then I believe I ascend over it with a Larva Cell, or no, I go straight to Anacell. Sorry, don't even have Larva Cell here. Go straight to Anacell. Use Circle of the Sky to get another spirit on it from Zeus, as well as get a spirit on it from the Underworld by using a Solar Spirit here, so that gets the Anacell up to 4, getting it in position to be a little bit more aggressive. And then I go Anacell effect, so I expend 2 more Solar to get Phosphocell from my deck, and send it to Phosphocell, get 2 more spirits onto it. It's now a nice solid 7. I'm going to have to start blind sniping some back row, which is what I do here. So I'm going to disenchant 2 to pop back row, which fortunately enough is a shield here. And I go attack over a Rabbit, and then on my opponent's turn, I'm going to go into a Helios. So he's under Helios here. He's going to play Lavalith in defense. And this is kind of the problem I have with the deck, is if my opponent keeps playing defense Elestrals, I'm never going to get for damage. I re-enchant my Phosphocell with Solar to get more Thunder Spirits onto it. And then I go disenchant to get another pop. I believe I hit an Ambrosia bluff with this pop here, which is unfortunate because I really need to make sure I'm hitting critical back row. But yeah, I hit the Ambrosia. I end up passing turn. I probably should have attacked. And then, of course, one of the runes that I didn't hit was the EQ. EQ takes out my Phosphil. I have 2 spirits left. He switches Lavalith to attack position and ends me right there. All right, and we're already back to the wrap-up. Yeah, so Phosphocell deck, I think it's pretty solid. So let's start with some of the pros. The pros is this deck is super explosive, decently good at keeping, even though a lot of its combos are super expensive using Rise from and stuff, it does refund a lot of spirits on all your big kind of endgame finishers. It does lots of damage. So overall, it does have this really explosive end, and it can kind of keep up in the mid-game, even like Larva Cells and Zeuses to punch over things. But the main problem with this deck is basically there's just like your opponent plays defense Elestrals and you can't actually get in for damage. And if they whittle you away after all the defense position Elestrals are getting knocked out with their back row, their defensive, the counters, and you can't pop them all, you just kind of lose the game on the spot because you can't hit all the back row, or you get a shield that you hit everything but the shield, go to swing for all the damage, and they go, cool, shield, I don't take as much damage, and you're not getting the Phosphil out right away. That is pretty brutal. Also, because the deck kind of has this aggressive, explosive start, you never really get a chance to play Arcolith, quote-unquote, on curve. You generally have to ascend it over something from play that's already there, which isn't the worst in the world, but it also doesn't allow you to go super explosive with the Arcolith like you'd like to. You can get in for a bunch of damage to Arcolith, don't get me wrong, but you're not really ever getting to the point where they have 2 attack position Elestrals because they know you're playing aggro, And if they know you're playing aggro, they'll leave something in defense so they don't get pierced over for a ton until they're ready to deal with it. Again, it is an aggro deck, so they might not have time to set up for it, but with the right back row, your opponent's just going to kind of laugh their way to victory. Things like Tsunami and PTA still impact Phos pretty heavily, so even if you try to Thunderstorm a Tsunami, or if they PTA Phos on cast, Phos might not be able to get over something because it only has 8 attack. It might go to 6, that might get it over something, it may not. There are some problems there, but overall I really like the deck. I think it's pretty impactful. I think it's really fun and aggressive. And with the changes again to the ban list, like your opponent has less odds to remove your Phos and Arclith after you play them. So overall, I think the deck is pretty cool, pretty fun, and interesting, and could probably get tinkered with and tweaked a bit. I don't necessarily know if going full combo on Phos is the right play. It probably isn't. There's probably somewhere you play the Race the Top Rabbit Thunder build with Phos as an endgame aggressive finisher over like Voltempest or something. There's options there to explore, but overall, I think I did pretty well with the deck, and I hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys next one.